Hey guys, how's it going? So today I would like to talk about an amazing peripheral from my friend the Sega Dreamcast, and it's hidden in this drawer. So just give me a second as I'm going to pull it out, because what I got for you guys today is none other than the Sega Dreamcast Keyboard. And basically it's like a normal keyboard, but this thing is really useful for the Dreamcast because it allows you to do some amazing capabilities that you couldn't, in some games that you couldn't do before. And to top it off, there's actually one game on the Dreamcast that requires the keyboard in order for it to work. So, with that being said, let's start my review of the Sega Dreamcast Keyboard.
The Sega Dreamcast Keyboard was released on November 27th, 1998 to coincide with the Dreamcast launch in Japan. And as I mentioned earlier in this video, this thing is exactly like a normal keyboard, with the only exception that there is a Dreamcast logo on the top right corner of it. And the cool thing is that there are actually 3 other models of keyboards that Sega released for the Sega Dreamcast. The one I have is actually the launch model. And then there's actually another model where basically it's the same as mine, but it's got a slightly different logo, and plus it's also a sticker, which really sucks because that's eventually gonna peel off over time. And then the other model that came out was basically the SegaNet model. And I think that it's actually a little bit smaller than mine, and it also has a more rounded space bar. Anyways, getting back to my keyboard, if you flip it over to its backside, you will actually find 2 sets of keyboard legs that you can basically prop up in order to give your hands a much more comfortable position to type on the keyboard. But honestly, I never use these things because I'm quite comfortable already with typing the keyboard flat on the table. But if you ever want the option of basically propping up the keyboard legs on the Sega Dreamcast keyboard, you can do that. Alright, so I'm just gonna have a little bit of fun in this video because I'm actually going to compare the Sega Dreamcast keyboard to my keyboard, the one that I use for everyday use. So the one that I use is basically a Dell keyboard, and if I take the keyboard right over here and compare them, they're basically very similar in their size. In fact, I'm actually going to do something really cool in that I'm going to take it and put it on top of the Dreamcast keyboard just to basically show off that yes, they're actually almost identical in their size and shape. There is one thing though that the Dell keyboard does that the Sega Dreamcast keyboard does not, and that is whenever you press caps lock or number lock, there is a light on the Dell keyboard that turns on to let you know that you got either caps lock or number lock on. The Sega Dreamcast keyboard unfortunately does not have anything like that, and it can be quite inconvenient at times, but I will tell you at the end of the day, it's not really that big of a deal, and I'll explain why later on in this video. So this is what the box of the launch model Sega Dreamcast keyboard looks like, and I must say it looks really nice. So if we turn it onto its side right here, basically it says Sega Dreamcast keyboard, and then if we turn it onto the back, it's essentially the same as the front, except that the top right corner says that it will add true keyboard functionality to your Sega Dreamcast. Of course it should, otherwise there'd be something really wrong with it. So that side also says Sega Dreamcast keyboard, and basically I'm trying to show off all the sides of this box for you guys because I don't want to leave any stone unturned. So if we turn the box into the front right here, and then look up on this side, there's like a latch that you can pull, and basically once you got that undone, you can open up the box and you will find the Sega Dreamcast keyboard in all of its plastic wrapped glory. And I'm really happy that I actually have the original plastic wrapping for the keyboard right here, and I'm going to show that off a little bit. I'm going to turn the camera onto its side so you guys can get a better look at what it has to say. Basically, it's a bunch of warnings and stuff like that. Just keep away from kids, otherwise you will, they will suffocate, and basically it's that kind of stuff. So I'm going to try to awkwardly try to take the keyboard out of the plastic wrapping, and basically you're left with the Sega Dreamcast keyboard. Alright, with the unboxing out of the way, I'm going to show you guys how to make the keyboard work on the Dreamcast. So what you need to do is to take a controller plug of the keyboard and plug it into controller port A. But very similarly to the fishing controller, you also need to have a controller plugged into port B, C, or D, it doesn't matter which one it is. And you have to have a VMU inside of the controller. And the reason you need the controller and the VMU is to allow you to save games. So once you've done all that, you're basically all set. So Sega's original intentions with the keyboard is to make people have an easier time surfing on the internet when they're using the Dreamcast. And that's basically what I plan to show off in today's video. So what I got here is version 1 and version 2 of Sega's Dreamcast web browser. And I'm going to be using version 2 in today's video because that's probably the one that's going to work the best because it's the most current model. So yeah, I got my Dreamcast connected to the internet here. And yeah, look at that slow 56K dial-up speed. Anyway, so the way that typing would usually go if you were to use the normal controller is very awkward because you have to use the D-pad to slowly press the letters and then you press A to confirm. I'm sure most of you guys have experienced that, especially if you try to surf the internet on consoles. But with the Dreamcast keyboard, it's certainly a lot faster, as I'll show you right here. You know, as soon as I got done with that sentence, I'm already done typing the word Dreamcast. Yeah, so definitely, if you are ever interested, I don't know why would you want to do this, but if you're ever interested on surfing the internet on the Dreamcast here in 2017, I would definitely recommend the keyboard because it certainly makes it much easier to surf the internet on your Dreamcast and stuff like that. And that's pretty good because, as I said earlier in this video, the reason why Sega made the keyboard was to basically help people surf on the internet. And from my experience with taking the Dreamcast online, it certainly does that job very well, especially when typing long sentences like this one. But if you're not interested in surfing the internet with the Dreamcast, don't worry, there's still a use for your keyboard. So the game I got running is Phantasy Star Online, and unfortunately I could not join a quest, but that's okay. I can just show you everything that the keyboard can do in the lobby right here. So this is what it looks like if you were trying to basically chat with other players with the standard Dreamcast controller. And as you can see, just like before when I was surfing the internet with the controller, it's quite tedious. But if you got your Sega Dreamcast keyboard plugged in, you can just start typing on the keyboard, and as you can see, it is absolutely a much faster method. It is really convenient, especially for this game. There is one more thing though that I would like to talk about that this game does with the keyboard, and I find it quite fascinating, is that when you're in the lobby, and you can only access the lobby if you got your Dreamcast connected to the internet, you can actually do some really cool animations and stuff like that. It's awesome. And the way that you do it is that you have to press alternate on the keyboard and F1 at the same time, and that will give you one animation. If you press Alt F2, it gives you a different one. Alt F3, Alt F4, and so on. And basically it proceeds all the way to alternate F12. That means you got 12 very unique and cool animations that you can just trigger by just using the Sega Dreamcast keyboard, and I think that's quite awesome. The thing is though is that you can only do this in the lobby. In order to gain access to the lobby, you need to play Phantasy Star Online. I hope you guys understand that. So remember how I said earlier in this video that there is one game on the Dreamcast that absolutely requires the keyboard in order for it to work? Well, that game is none other than
The Typing of the Dead.
What a classic game for the Dreamcast. And I'm sure you guys can tell why you need the keyboard in order to play this game. Instead of using the light gun in order to kill the zombies like you did in House of the Dead 2, you use a keyboard and you basically type to kill all the zombies. This game is so fun, and I spent so many hours playing this game. And the funny thing is that this game is just not like a normal typing game where they just give you the most boring words ever to type. Sometimes this game just randomly chooses words in the most bizarre order, and the sentence turns out really funny and stuff, and I absolutely enjoyed typing this game. And you remember how I said earlier in this video that, you know, it doesn't really matter that there's really no light indicator on the Sega Dreamcast keyboard to let you know that either caps lock or number lock is on? Well, the reason is because this game doesn't even care if you got caps lock on. As long as you simply type the letters on the keyboard, it will just work all the same. And this game is really influential in my life because before playing this game, I used to be kind of a slow typist. You know, I didn't type too fast. Now, especially since after I've, beaten this game so many times, I am a much faster typist, and it really has it's very beneficial for me, especially since like in college and stuff, I have so many papers to type and I can just communicate my ideas in such a quick way. And that's why I absolutely appreciate having this game for my Dreamcast collection. So what I would say for all this is that if you're not interested in getting the keyboard to surf the internet or using it to chat with other players in Phantasy Star Online, you absolutely need to get the keyboard for this game. It is that amazing, and if you ever manage to find the Sega Dreamcast keyboard and a copy of the Typing of the Dead, pick them up and you will not regret it. I guarantee that.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed my review of the Sega Dreamcast Keyboard. It is a really awesome peripheral for the Dreamcast, and if any one of you guys are like Dreamcast collectors, I highly recommend getting this thing because of how cool it is. So, with that being said, I want to thank you guys for watching this video, and I'm going to end this video in a very special way, because what I plan to do is I'm going to type out a message for you guys. So, here I go.